to see that video yet. So let's watch this DevOps video. This is a quick one, about a minute long. Here we go.
DevOps is a mindset, a culture, and a set of technical practices. It provides communication, integration, automation, and close cooperation among all the people needed to plan, develop, test, deploy, release, and maintain a solution. DevOps is a combination of two words, development and operations. Without a DevOps approach, there's often significant tension between those who create new features and those who maintain the stability of the production environment. The development team is measured on the business value they deliver to end users, while IT service management is measured on the health and stability of the production environment. When each group has seemingly opposing business objectives, delivery inefficiency and organizational friction may rule the day. But DevOps ends the silo approach, providing an enterprise with the ability to define, build, test, and release small batches of functionality to the business or customer in a flow process called the continuous delivery pipeline.
Now, what was the first line in that video? DevOps is a
development operations.
Okay, starts with an M. DevOps is a
Mindset.
mindset. Okay, it's an approach that's bridging the gap between development and operations, because development is optimized for speed, operations is optimized for stability. So we are hoping to bridge the gap between all areas so that we can deliver with speed and stability. Now, one of the goals of DevOps is to enhance our continuous delivery pipeline. Does anybody remember how many parts of the pipeline?
How many parts of the
How many
pipeline?
parts of the continuous?
Four. Is 4 parts.
What are those parts?
Design.
Remember CI/CD? Right, continuous exploration, continuous deployment. The goal is release on demand. So kind of release on demand could be your fourth part.
3.
Right? So CI/CD, 3 parts.
3.
Right now, the way to implement DevOps is with a calmer approach. You want to create a culture of shared responsibility. We want to automate that pipeline. We want to improve our flow. We want to measure everything, and we want to recover as fast as possible. Okay, now we want to take this and go into a final exercise of the day, final exercise of this course. And I was hoping to do this collectively. Is everybody okay doing this collectively in one of the teams?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So let me pick Team Fateh, Team Success. Okay. So you will notice in your team area, okay, you can even click on my icon top right. We have a DevOps section here, and we've got some empty stickies for each of these Calmer components. Now we want to brainstorm ideas. Okay, for example, how would you enable this culture of shared responsibility? Okay, maybe one of the things to do is knowledge transfers. Okay, so we share information. It can help with create that culture of shared responsibility. How do we invest in automating the pipeline? Maybe something like reserve a percentage of capacity for automating. Okay, that could be an idea. For improving your flow, maybe WIP limits could be an idea. For measurement, maybe measuring your velocity can be an idea for that. For fast recoveries, maybe something like having working agreements on how defects get prioritized. Remember John, the developer scenario yesterday? Right, so one of those things was John was taking care of all the defects, but maybe establishing some working agreements on how they get prioritized. Okay, so we want to come up with ideas on how we would improve DevOps with this calmer approach. Okay, so let's do this collectively. Let's spend the next 5-ish minutes, and my invitation would be for each person to contribute minimum 2 ideas. Is that okay? Okay, and I am in Team Fateh's area, and you will see this link coming up in the chat for the Miro board. And I can stop sharing. I'll bring in some additional stickies if you want to add some additional notes.
Um, me, which board is this?
I'm in team 1, so team success. Let me bring you to where I'm at. Okay, do you see it on your Miro board now?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Are we good to debrief? Yeah, okay, great. Good job, everybody. So let's have a look at how to enhance our culture. We've got everybody owning their mistakes, identifying dependencies, transparency, and calling out any issues, focus on humanness, story sizing within the team, knowledge transfer, cross training, respecting working agreements, getting feedback on any missteps, for sure. Essentially, coaching is going to help with improving your culture. See that? Yep. Okay. Now let's have a look at automation. So reserving capacity, cross training for sure, setting a percentage of functionality that needs to be automated, automating your browser testing, automating unit testing, time boxing events, automate your test cases, for sure, all good ideas. Maybe even providing training on best automation tools and practices can help. Okay, and reserving time, reserving capacity for that. Okay, good. Yep. Okay. Let's look at lean. We've got WIP limits, communicating risks and concerns, communicating failures to allow quick pivots, test automation. So automation can help with lean flow, attending lunch and learns for the education of teams. So this is also hinting towards your community of practices. Okay, so allowing our teams, our people to improve in their skills. Another thing that can help are some additional built-in quality practices, like having clear requirements, clear definition of done, something that your coaches do, which is remove impediments. So teams can focus on the work at hand, right? Protecting the team from distractions. Right? Those are all the things that teams can do to help with that flow. Even a definition of ready, that's a good one. Right, let's have a look at measurements. So load, velocity, tracking stories, enablers, maintenance. So that's flow distribution, percentage of failed or success procedures, percentage accepted, number of defects or percentage of defects, defect leakage, burn up charts, story overflows. All of these are good ideas for measurement. And another thing I will add here is these measurements should be agreed upon, not spell that. Right, everybody should have agreed to them. For recovery, we've got working agreements, defect SLAs for resolution, agreeing to work on a set number of tech debt, creating more spikes for research, peer reviews, using mistakes as growth opportunities for sure. How about even reserving a percentage for maintenance support, any recovery type work? Is that good? Yep. Okay, great. Even cross training, so multiple people on the team can fix something that somebody else has been working on, can help. All good ideas? Yep. Okay, great. So this would bring us to the end of our lesson number 4. So let's do a quick recap, and let's do this recap in our Blackboard number 4 here. So lesson number 4 was made up of those 5 team level events: iteration planning, your team sync, managing your progress, refinement, reviews, and retros. Now, which one of these meetings is the only meeting where no guests are allowed?
Retro.
It's the retrospective, right? Only the retrospective. Now, iteration planning is a 5-step process. We figure out our capacity, we allocate capacity for those different buckets: user stories, enabler stories, maintenance efforts. We reanalyze and re-estimate stories. We add additional details. This is only done for newer teams. We summarize them as goals, and then we commit to those goals. We facilitated a team sync event. We gave Sonia a hard time, but she was not budged by that. So that was good. We talked about tracking our progress using Kanbans, using burn ups instead of burn downs. And we talked about some flow metrics. Does anybody remember the 3 flow metrics we used?
Velocity.
How many items are in progress? What is that called? Starts with an L.
Load.
Load, right? Flow load, flow velocity, and flow percentage breakdown in each bucket, user, enabler, maintenance. What is that called? Distribution. Okay, you could get a question on these 3 velocity, 3 flow metrics to look at. We talked about iteration review. Now, what is up for review? What do we do?
Is for review?
Stories,
Oh, stories, yeah.
non-functional requirements, any enablers, research efforts, everything that has been worked on is up for review. We talked about the retro having 2 components. There's the quantitative and the qualitative. Qualitative is similar to yesterday. What's going well, what's not well, action items. Now, in your quantitative review, we talk about improvement items and were they accomplished. We talk about any metrics and update those metrics. Good? Good. Okay. Now we talked about DevOps. DevOps is starts with an M.
Mindset.
Mindset. One of the goals is to enhance the pipeline, and we can implement DevOps with a calmer approach. What does calmer stand for?
Culture, automation, lean, measurement, recovery.
Got it. That was our lesson number 4. Is that good? Yeah. Okay, great. So that brings us to our lesson number 5. Okay, now lesson number 5 is going to be wrapping up this PI. So lesson number 3, this was about our PI planning. Lesson number 4 was about implementing those plans using iterations. Lesson number 5 is going to be talking about all of the remaining aspects of PI. Okay, so we will talk about the IP iteration and we will end with the discussion on inspect and adapt. Is that good? Yep. Okay, great. So let's talk about the IP iteration. Now we reserve this last iteration for innovating and planning. So under innovation, this is a good time for running some hackathons, looking at infrastructure improvements. Has anybody attended a hackathon or been a part of a hackathon in the past? Yeah, Sonia, you have. Sonia, what has your experience been like?
Just lots of teams getting together, coming up with new ideas, coming up with a solution to a problem. So they just throwing out lots of ideas and then seeing what those ideas can flesh out to, coming up with they could be possible stories or solutions or.
Great, great. So hackathons, there's 2 guidelines. Okay, number 1, if you have an idea, your organization could be scheduling hackathons over 1 day, 2 days, sometimes even a week-long hackathons I've seen. And if you have an idea, you can work with whoever you want in this organization on whatever idea you have, as long as you're aligned with the mission of the company. Okay, and the second thing is, at the end of this hackathon, you want to demo your work, demo the idea, demo whatever you've done to your stakeholders. And depending on how good of an idea it is, it could be added to one of your backlogs as an epic, as a feature, as a story. Okay, so it's a cool idea to generate ideas from your agile teams. Now, we also reserve this time for planning, and we can also use this as an estimating guard band. Now, here's what a typical calendar looks like. You got your first week and your second week here. You will notice the last 3 days of your second week are reserved for PI planning. Right before PI planning is that half a day long inspect and adapt event. And the rest of the time we are preparing for PI planning. We could be running some hackathons, looking at other innovation activities. We could be improving our skills. We could use this as buffer space for leftover remaining work. Okay, so it also acts as an estimating guard band. Good? Good, okay. Now let's talk about this inspect and adapt event. Okay, what is this? Think about this as the final review and retro. And there's 3 parts of this. There's a final demo, which is called the PI system demo. We have a measurement aspect, and there is a problem solving workshop. Okay, we want to think about this as a structured retrospective. Okay, now who attends this inspect and adapt? Everybody on your release train, all of your teams. Good? Yeah, okay. And it's generally scheduled for over a half a day, so 3 to 4 hours. Now let's talk about each of these components. Your PI system demo is the final demo. Who do you think is facilitating this inspect and adapt event?
Program,
Product
the
manager.
product manager.
Who facilitates the event?
The art engineer, probably.
The release train engineer, right? So the RTE is the one facilitating. Who's attending? It's everybody on your release train plus your stakeholders. And who's approving this demo?
This is the business owner.
You got it, right? Business owners are the ones approving. And who's leading the presentation? Now that product management has been approving those system demos, they are the ones who are in a good position to demo to your business owners. See that?
Adam, we can't hear when you're not muted.
Oh,
Okay.
Adam, do we have a question or a comment?
No, I couldn't hear you very
Okay.
well.
Adam, questions, comments?
No, I forgot to unmute. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. Okay. All right. All right. So now that product management has been approving those system demos, they're in a good spot to present to business owners in collaboration with product owners and the system team. Why is the system team also leading this demo?
Because it's a final demo, there may be integration opportunities.
Exactly, right? So system team has been supporting with the integration. They've been doing the system level testing. So if somebody has any questions about system level testing, about integration, they should be available to answer those questions. Make sense? Yep. Okay, so that's the first aspect, the PI system demo. Now the second aspect is measurement. Okay, you could be looking at your team's performance in terms of timeliness, content, qualities. You could be rating it. You could also be looking at those PI objectives. Remember the business values that were assigned? Who had assigned these business values?
The business.
Business owner, sorry, product owner.
Right, it was Hamid, our business owner, who had assigned these business values. Now that we have gone through the demo, we have seen what got delivered. Hamid is in a place to assign an actual value to these objectives as well. If an objective was 100% met, you will score full points. If an objective was partially met, you will score partial points. If an objective was not delivered at all, you will score no points on it. See that? Yep. Okay. Sonia, question, comment?
No, I missed what you said. I missed the summarization of that. You said,
Sorry, what did you miss?
when you said, if it's this, then you get this. If it's
Okay.
that, you get.
So if an objective is 100% met, you will score full points. Do you see this on my screen, Sonia?
Yes, I see.
If an objective is partially met, you will score partial points. If an objective is not met, you will score no points. Mega, question, comment?
Yeah, what purpose does it serve?
Okay,
When you put up the actual, yeah.
Yeah, in
Okay.
a second. Adam,
Okay.
question, comment?
I had a question. So the planned total does not include, but the actual does.
Yes, you got it. This is my next train of thought here.
Okay. Sorry.
This value over here, 50, includes only this committed planned value. It does not include these uncommitted objectives. And why not? Because this is something the team did not guarantee. So they should not be penalized on this. Okay, team had already flagged this as uncommitted. They did not guarantee it. So it should not be included in their performance assessment. Now on this side, we are going to be including those uncommitted in this achieved value. Why? Because this is time, capacity, effort the team has spent on those uncommitted objectives. Okay, at the end, 45 over 50, we get a 90%. What do we think about 90%? Good or bad? Good, right? Now, looking at this math, is it possible to achieve more than 100%?
Yes.
Yes.
For example, if we scored a 7 on 7 here, this would be a 52, and a 52 on 50 would make it over 100%. Everybody see that? Yeah, right? And you might notice this in one of the teams here, let's say team B, in one of their PIs is over that 100%. Does everybody also see that the only way you can be over 100% is if you are meeting your committed as well as uncommitted objectives? Everybody see that? Yeah. Now, what if your team is constantly over 100%? What does that tell you?
You're undercommitting.
You got it. You're undercommitting, you're flagging way too many objectives as uncommitted, but you're able to deliver on them consistently. See that? Right? So if you notice this as a Scrum Master, you want to watch out and say, hey team, seems like we've been able to deliver on those uncommitted objectives as well. Should we challenge ourselves and flag or take on a few more as committed? Okay. Now, on the other side, if you notice your teams are hanging out in this 10, 20, 30% range, what does that tell you?
Opposite. They're overcommitting.
The team might have overcommitted. They're not flagging enough objectives as uncommitted. Okay, they're saying all of these are guaranteed, but they're not able to deliver on them consistently. Our stakeholders are expecting them, but they're not painting a realistic picture for our stakeholders. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right?
And I think one of the key words you mentioned was if it's consistently down in that area, it's going to have spikes in different directions.
Exactly, right? Once in a while is okay, but if it's consistently above 100, that's something to watch out for. If it's consistently below 60 or 50, that's something to watch out for. Right? So in that case, Scrum Masters might approach the team and say, hey team, seems like we haven't been able to deliver on our committed objectives over the last few PIs. Let's take a step back and let's flag a few more as uncommitted. Make sense? Yep. Okay, Megha, are we clear on the purpose of uncommitted objectives?
Yeah.
Good. Now we take all of these team level scores and we do a simple average to arrive at a predictability measure. And we would like this to be in the 80 to 100% range. Why this range? Now, has anybody seen a lack of trust, a lack of collaboration between IT and business?
Yes.
Right? Business doesn't trust IT. They say, hey, we keep sharing all of these requirements, but it's like a black hole. It never comes out. We never see it getting done. And IT says business is crazy. They keep changing their mind. They keep changing priorities. They never just let us do the work. Seen that? Right now, the single most important factor in gaining that trust back is by delivering predictably. If you're able to deliver on 80% of the objectives you have committed to over time, consistently, you will be able to build that trust. You will be able to collaborate more with the business. You will be able to be more transparent about what's getting accomplished. Good? Yeah, you can get a question on this. What is a key metric being tracked on your release train? It's a predictability measurement. Good? Yeah. Okay. Now, the last component of our inspect and adapt is a problem solving workshop. There is a 9-minute video to watch. Question here, are we okay watching this at our own time as homework for day 2? Cool. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to recap this. Now, what exactly is a problem solving workshop? Now, your release train engineer and all of your coaches have met multiple times. They've met on a weekly basis. What is that meeting called?
Sync, the Scrum
Coach sync.
Coach sync.
Sync. Used to be called Scrum or Scrums in 5.1. Right now it's called Coach Sync. So they've met multiple times every week in those coach sync events. So the release train engineer is aware of all the impediments, all the problems you're facing. The RTE will place those problems in different breakout rooms or different areas of the room. And then as a person, so you want to figure out what problem attracts you the most. You don't have to work with your own team. You can be attracted to any problem. That's the first step. Step number 2, we apply a root cause analysis. Has anybody seen this root cause analysis or the fishbone diagram? Seen it? Yeah, right. So the problem basically goes to the mouth of the fish, and we try to find some causes, and causes can be process, people, tools, program, environment related. We ask ourselves up to 5 whys to try and identify the root cause of a potential cause. Okay, we go into dot voting, similar to dot voting we did in our retro yesterday, to capture the topmost root cause, and this is called Pareto analysis. Okay, Pareto says that 80% of the problems are caused by 20% of the causes. So we are trying to capture that topmost cause. This becomes the newest problem to solve. Everybody brainstorms for ideas. You go into another dot voting exercise, and maybe you add the top 2 to 3 ideas in your improvement backlog. Okay, it's a good idea to even prioritize these improvement items in the next PI planning. Adam, question?
Yeah, I had a hard time follow there. The second, like the fishbone, or what do you call it? So do everybody, yeah, does the different coaches, how to say, vote on what problem, or I didn't get that, sorry.
Okay, so it's called the fishbone diagram or the Ishikawa diagram. The problem, so this problem that we have goes to the mouth of the fish, and we are trying to identify, hey, what caused this problem? Was it process related? Was it people related? Was it tools related? Was it program related? Was it environment related?
And do the different coaches vote on the issues? Or if it's like, okay, 3 of them says process, then most likely it's the process that is the issue? Or
we first brainstorm all of these ideas. So what caused this problem? We go into 5 whys, right? What is 5 whys? For example, our stakeholders didn't get this reporting, this monthly reporting. Okay, you ask a first why. Why didn't they get the reporting? It wasn't triggered at our end. Why wasn't it triggered at our end? Because we had incomplete data. Why did we have incomplete data, or how come we didn't know about it? Because we didn't get it from our vendors. Okay, or we didn't get notified that our data is incomplete. Okay, so asking up to 5 whys can help you identify the root cause of a potential cause. Now, those are the causes you want to dot vote on to try and capture the topmost cause that is your biggest problem to solve. Does that help, Adam?
I don't want to slow down the course if others understand, but yeah, kind of.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So hopefully when you watch that video, which is in the course book, that might help a little bit more. But I would also recommend Googling and researching what that fishbone diagram is all about.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let me show you what this could look like. Okay, so we did a similar thing for this client. We looked at all of these features that got delivered. So anything that's in green that got delivered, anything that has a red diamond, this got missed. So based on that, we assigned an actual value. We calculated a percent achieved. So this team is doing really great. We calculated a percentage of predictability measurement as well. We went through this exercise, identifying the root cause, dot voting on things that people think it was the highest cause. And that ended up being the biggest root cause. And then we brainstorm ideas.
Now I get it. Yeah, great. Thank you. That helped a lot. Yeah.
Great, sounds good. All right, super. Now, here are some do's and don'ts when it comes to your Scrum Master's role in Inspect and Adapt. You want to make sure you're providing enough data to your team to make the right decisions. You want to make sure to help and collaborate with the RTE to ensure those improvement items are included in the next PI as well. Okay, some anti-patterns we want to highlight. If there's no actionable improvement items, okay, that's not a good idea. You do want to have something to improve on. If they're not demoed in PI system demo, also not a good idea. So any improvement items that you've had highlighted during inspect and adapt should also be demoed the next time around. Good? Good. Okay, great. So this brings us to the end of our lesson number 5, and similar to before, let's do a recap on our Miro board here. Okay, so we talked about the IP iteration. How do we use the IP iteration? What do we do during the IP iteration?
Innovate.
Brainstorm, workshops, innovation.
Okay, innovation, what else?
Complete remaining work from the previous iteration, if any.
Okay, so it acts as a estimating guard band for sure. What else do we typically do during IP iteration?
Review and retrospect, perhaps.
Review and
Inspect and adapt.
Inspect and adapt for sure. What else do we do?
I believe planning.
PI planning for sure. What else do we do?
System review.
So review, which is a part of your inspect and adapt.
PI system demo.
PI system demo, also a part of your inspect and adapt. We could be improving our skill set and we could be preparing for this upcoming PI planning. Good? Good. Okay. Now let's talk about that inspect and adapt. There are 3 parts. What are those 3 parts of the inspect and adapt? We mentioned PI
The system demo,
What else?
quantitative and qualitative measurements,
Measurement, and what else?
the problem solving workshop.
Problem solving workshop. How many steps in that problem solving workshop? It's on the screen somewhere.
Six.
6 steps, right? The 6 steps of your problem solving workshop. What is the key metric we are tracking on a release train?
The predictability.
Predictability measure. Good. Let's talk about this PI system demo. Who's facilitating it?
RTE.
It's the RTE. Who's approving it?
Business owner.
Business owners. Who's attending it?
Everyone.
Everybody on your art plus stakeholders. So who should be demoing it?
The system.
PMPO, PMPO and system team.
System team. Yeah.
And that was a lesson number 5. Was that good? Okay, Michael, question, comment?
Thanks. I was curious for, the phrase product management, which I think is what PM is here.
Yes.
Is that generally in Scaled Agile a team of people, not one person?
Generally, it's multiple product managers. That's why we call it product management. Generally, one product manager is working closely with 2 to 3 product owners. So it depends on how many agile teams you have. You might end up having 3 or 4 product managers.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Sonia, you had a question as well.
Yes. Will these like this little screenshot you have now, will that stay on the board? Will we have access to the board after this?
Yes, you have these on your Miro board, and this Miro board will be available at least for a few months. And you have 30 days to take the exam. So definitely until you take the exam.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Other questions? Okay, seems like a no. All right, so this brings us to the official end of the course content. How is everybody feeling?
Good.
Overwhelmed?
Yeah, I was about to say overwhelmed.
Okay, is anybody feeling like that kid with the fire hose yet from yesterday? Yes, yes. All right, fair warning there. So I did warn everybody. Now, what will make this easier and more digestible? There is a single resource I'm going to refer you to, and that is the summary document that I have attached in my email from yesterday. Okay, that summary document consolidates everything that we have talked about in this course. It is something that I have created. It's customized for this course, and also hint, some exam questions you might see from there as well. So I'm going to include that as a study resource for your exam as well. Is that fair?
Thank you.
Yep. All right, great. Now talking about the exam, Dean, we have a question before that.
Yes, I was curious on for the test for whenever you just go in. I've already made the account through Safe. Is it just whenever you just go in, you can just essentially say you do it whenever you want, or do you have to like find the time and day to do it?
Yep. So let me walk you through it. So you would have received an invitation from Safe Studio titled something like Action Required. Everybody seen that yesterday? Yep. Okay, so when you get logged in, now if you have taken any Safe courses in the past, you may not have received that invite, but when you log in, you should be able to see it. They've revamped this a little bit. So you will notice there's a panel on the left. If you click on those 3 lines at the top, you will see there's a Learn tab. When you click on Learn, under this, you will see My Learning. Okay, when you click on My Learning, this course will show up under In Progress. Okay, you want to click into this course. I've already marked your attendance. So now all of these launch buttons will open up. You will not have these many launches. That's only for me as an instructor, but this is exactly where you will find your practice. Oops, moved it. This is exactly where you will find your practice test and your final exam as well. Okay, so practice test and the final exam for us, it is a 45 questions long, 90-minute long exam. Okay, and your questions are multiple choice or multiple select. There's 3 resources I'll refer you to. Number 1 is the course book. So these are the slides that we just went over. You can get easy questions from here. Number 2 is going to be additional readings that are linked in my email from yesterday. Okay, you can get questions using the same language as those readings. And number 3 is going to be that summary document. Okay, some exam questions, some hints on that as well. Okay, so definitely go through those and then hit that launch button on your practice test. You will see 1 question on your screen at a time, multiple choice or multiple select. Multiple choice meaning select 1 out of 4 options. Multiple select meaning select 2 or 3 out of 4 or 5 options. Your question will tell you how many responses they are.
Is this monitored while it's happening?
No. Okay, so practice test, final exam, not monitored. Your practice test, you will see 1 question on your screen at a time. Once you've submitted or hit your responses, you want to click next. Keep clicking next until you have attempted all 45 questions. There is a way to flag questions you want to come back and review. Okay, so you can flag those, you can come back to them, review them again. But my invitation to you is take your best guess anyways in case you run out of time. Okay, take your best guess, flag it, move on to the next question. Now, if you feel pretty confident with your practice test, you can go ahead and hit that launch button on your final exam. You can take the practice test again and again, but the pool of questions is limited. So each time you take it, you will see a lot of repetition there. Your final exam will follow the exact same format as your practice test. The first attempt is included in this course and you get your results right away. It'll also tell you, your practice test will also tell you the questions you got wrong and the topics you should go back and review again. Okay, your final exam, you'll get your mark right away and it'll also tell you the topics that were scored a little bit poorly on. Okay, now first attempt is included. Any future attempts will cost something like $50 USD. That being said, 99% of my students pass in the first attempt. So please go through those resources. You've got everything with you and then take that exam. Please don't let my percentage down. All right, Prerna, question?
Yeah, sorry, can you go through the resources again? I'm so sorry. The one is the summary. Yeah.
They're listed in my email from yesterday.
Okay, done.
Additional readings and summary document.
Any extra practice tests that you suggest that we can take from somewhere or?
I would recommend sticking to the SAFE practice test. This would be the closest proxy to your final exam. There's some additional exam banks out there if you're interested. For example, you can find some on Udemy, but I do not recommend them and they're outdated as well. So you'll find them for version 5.0 and 5.1. I don't think they have been updated for 6.0 yet. So I would not recommend those. They may not add much value.
Understood. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, Adam, question?
Yeah, stupid question, but I just want to make sure. So basically, I can launch the test whenever I want. I don't need to book in advance, nothing like that.
You don't have to book it. It is not proctored. It is supposed to be closed book, but nobody's monitoring you. So it's based on an honor system. Anytime in the next 30 days, you can launch it whenever you're ready. My
Okay.
invitation to you, try and get it done in the next 1 to 2 weeks while this information is still fresh.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, great. Other questions?
What would you say is the most popular course in terms of